Hello poddies and welcome along to day number 3. So yesterday we were talking podcast tech. I sent you over a PDF with the simplest podcast tech that you will need to record a solo show and gather interviews via Skype remotely and also in person. Tom, my other half, and I also jumped in the Facebook group to discuss XLR versus USB microphones and gave a few other top tips about podcast tech and microphones. We also highlighted a microphone, the SE Electronics X1 microphone, which in fact is the microphone that I'm using right now to record this session. Anyway, back to today. So today we're going to be looking at how to book an interview guest with complete confidence, or like a boss. It can be quite a daunting experience for a newbie, along with choosing the right podcast tech to be using. I know when I first started out gathering interviews, I asked one of my senior producers and I said, how do you get someone on your show? And she just said, just write to them. What's the worst that can happen? It really does take you out of your comfort zone initially, but once you get into the swing of things, trust me, it does get easier. And if they say no, just move on and find a different guest. But it is a daunting experience, I'm not going to lie to you. So what's the easiest way for you to get your first guests on your show? So you've got no stats to show, you've not even started your podcast perhaps. So how do you get people to go on your show and be interviewed? Absolutely rinse your connections. Use your connections the best you can, whether that's people that you know on your Facebook network or whether it's on LinkedIn or in person at networking events that you've met, friends of friends. Rinse your contacts. It's so much easier than doing those cold call style emails. Also, and most importantly, this was the best piece of advice that has ever been given to me. I used to work with one of the top celebrity bookers at the BBC, and they always said to me, don't worry about befriending the celebrity or the influencer or the high profile person, whoever you want to call them. Always befriend their assistants and always be charming to them. Because at the end of the day, that assistant is in charge of that celebrity's schedule. And if they like you, they're going to suggest you to that celebrity. They're going to say, hey, she's really nice, or he's really nice. He might not have a large following, but, I really like the ethos of his show, or I really like what her show's about. So just, could you maybe give 15 or 20 minutes of your time? I can see you've got that time slot available on Wednesday or Thursday or whatever. So befriend the assistants. Be charming and be polite, no matter how rude they are to you, because some assistants can be probably ruder than the celebrities themselves if they're quite high profile. Also, and this was a big mistake that I made initially when I was booking guests, you get focused on that one person that you really, really, really want on your show. They might be quite unattainable and you're trying desperately to get that person on your show. And you've not really broadened your horizons. And there might be other people that aren't maybe as well known, or even ordinary people that have got a very similar story, and you just become so blinkered, and it's really upsetting when that person does say no, and you feel as though you're not going to be able to talk about that subject without that person. But trust me, work around it, find other people. I always have an A, B and C choice now. And I try not to let it get to me if A says no. Just don't take it personally. Also, speak to ordinary people. Don't be frightened of putting an ordinary person on your podcast. It doesn't matter what your podcast is about. Ordinary people have really amazing stories, and they're stories that have probably not been heard by anyone else. There is this craze at the moment of having an influencer on your show, but they tend to be the same 10, 15, 20 influencers that are going round and round having interviews about pretty much the same subject. And you don't really want to listen to a podcast that's got pretty much the same interview on it. It's just a slightly different podcast and a slightly different person interviewing. So be flexible. Be creative, find ordinary people, and they're more likely to want to jump on and be interviewed as well, and they're probably much friendlier to deal with as well. Also use Facebook and Twitter to find guests. Jump in Facebook groups, and Twitter, there's a great hashtag which is hashtag journo request. If you're looking for guests, always put that hashtag on there. Quite often people who have been on other shows or in magazines will use this hashtag to search anyone that's looking for a guest. Also, I would advise that you used a scheduling software for interviews, or if you've got the money, a VA. This bit is the most time-consuming part of interview-based podcasts. People can let you down last minute, or you need to be chasing them up all the time. But if you use a scheduling software, that takes out all the hard work, really. I suggest something like Calendly or Acuity is also good. I use Calendly personally. Also, my top tip is to book more people than you need, just for the simple reason that some of those people might not turn up, and also they just might not be the right fit for your podcast when you've interviewed them. Don't be frightened of canning an interview if you need to. It's quite a sore subject with people, and I know a lot of people don't quite know how to deal with it, but don't be afraid if that person is swearing a lot, or they're just not right for the show. Don't be frightened of canning it. But if you are interviewing one person for one episode, then that's going to leave you short. So always make sure you have a few queued up just in case that happens. So I've given you a task for today. So your task is to start mind mapping your guests who you would like on the show, a first choice guest and also a second choice guest. I'd also encourage you to share those in the group once you've got a few down, because like I say, use your network, use your contacts. There might be someone in the group that might know them via someone, or they might know them themselves. Be as specific as you can with the names. Specific is terrific at the end of the day, so I can't wait to see those names. In fact, I might even know some of them. So I think that's me done for today. I hope this PDF has been of some use to you and has given you a few top tips on how to get over that first barrier of getting your guests queued up for your podcast. Tomorrow we're going to be talking about recording your podcast with absolute confidence. I'm really looking forward to doing that. I will see you again at 7 p.m. BST this evening to talk about booking interview guests like a boss. So if you have any questions, please jump in there from 7 p.m. BST and I will be around. See you tomorrow for day number 4.